Guten Tag and Flogen Schnogen. I have, Guten Tag was the only part of that was an actual German word. Okay! Welcome back to the Tinkerbox! And if you know anything about Redstone, you know what we're talking about today, but if you're watching this video, you probably have no idea what's behind me, and you probably think that I'm just making things up and throwing things down on the floor randomly and assigning it random names with random initials to confuse you, but that's not the case. Today we're talking about Fleipen-Schneichenlocks. They are one of the most useful redstone No, I'm just kidding you. We're talking about RS Latches. And after I kill this obnoxious rain, I toggle, oh nope, that's a P, toggle down full. Thank you very much, Jeb, for in-game death to rain. Come on, turn off. Come on, there we go. Alright, now back to my talk about RS Latches. Now you may be asking yourself, what is an RS Latch aside, you know, a bunch of random letters and words thrown together into something that doesn't exist? Well, you see, my confused viewer, an RS Latch is essentially a simple memory cell. It can be either on or off, so to speak. So, if you look at probably the most basic design of an RS Latch, where if you started off early in Minecraft, this is probably the first version of the RS Latch you would have ever learned. There's two different inputs, and when you hit the input, it switches what line of redstone is sending power out. So it's essentially a very basic memory cell. You can store this or that. And as to why that's useful, we'll get into in a second here with this big massive block. But first, as always, let's go over some RS Latch designs. So this one is actually probably my favorite and most used one. It's a vertical one, as you can see, and it actually starts with this piece of redstone dust. This piece of redstone dust is necessary, so it's redstone dust, a block and a little L, 3 blocks and a little L like this, a torch above this piece of redstone, 2 pieces of redstone on top, and underneath that you just put another torch. And so when you flick this button, this gets stuck on. When you flick this button, that gets stuck on. So the way this one works is when you hit this button, it powers this piece of redstone, which turns this redstone torch off, which turns this redstone off, which lets this redstone torch come on, and this redstone torch keeps lighting this and keeps all this off. Now when you hit this one, it does exactly the opposite of that. It turns on this redstone, which turns this off, which turns this off, which turns this torch on, which consequently keeps this powered. Okay, so now here's a slice design, I'll call it, using pistons. Hit this, it comes up, hit this, it goes down. So when you hit this piece of redstone gets hit, launches this piston up. This torch sends power through to the block, which goes down to the piston, thus keeping it up, sending it through to this repeater, turning this torch off. This flicks this off for a second, which lets the piston go back down. So that one's pretty simple. This one over here, you've already seen how it works. Hit this. Oh, oops, that's what's on. Hit this, it turns this on, which turns this off, which lets this come on and keep this on, and this works the same exact way. So, you know, pretty easy. Block, torch, redstone, redstone, block, torch, redstone, redstone. It is exactly what you see. And this last one here is, for some reason, one of the more popular ones these days. Not really sure why. I still prefer, you know, good old faithful here. But, you know, people do what they do. And this is a simple piston one. When you hit this piston, it pushes the block. This piston, it pushes the block. So, when this block is over this torch under here, it lights this redstone, which inverts the signal and turns it off and sends out a signal this way. When you put it over on the other one, the torch has no way of getting to this redstone. It lets this redstone torch be on and sends out a signal. So that's pretty simple. You have piston, hole with a torch, block, piston, not gate, and then your outputs. Okay, so what is a use for an RS NOR latch, you may ask yourself, my kind viewer, and that is the lovely combination lock. That's right, spaz on the buttons randomly and hit go, and the door's not going to open. However, get the secret combination right, and the door opens for you. Voila, simple as that. Okay, now how this works. All this is 3 RS NOR latches and an AND gate. So, the way it works is you set up 3 RS NOR latches, and then you add a block in between them like this with a repeater going through. And so that means as long as this RS NOR latch is on, it sends a signal over here to this RS NOR latch, which keeps it on, which sends it over here to this RS NOR latch and keeps it on. And so basically you have to turn these RS NOR latches off in sequence, and once you do, this will be on and it will power the AND gate. And then when you hit the go button inside, it also sends out a signal which powers this AND gate. Okay, so that's really basic. And now to talk about a couple other things. The go button also does something else. It resets the RS NOR latches. So if you got it wrong or you got it right, it just resets it so you can try again or not have to worry about other people coming in. And the way it does that is, aside from coming here, it branches off and goes around to this first RS NOR latch, and as we talked about earlier, turns everything else back on because it's odd. Now, the reason there's so many repeaters on this is to ensure that the door stays open long enough for you to be able to reasonably get through it. Okay, and another thing to talk about is this brown wool configuration here. And you may be wondering what this is, and what this is an anti-spam method. So what this does is it's hooked up to one of the buttons that isn't part of the code, and so if someone just tries to spam the buttons, it will light this redstone up and reset all of them just to ensure, because let me just show you. If I unhook that by destroying that piece of redstone, and I just sit here and spam this over and over and over. Whoops. Is it still hooked up? Yeah, there we go. You'd eventually be able to open the door because nothing would be resetting it, so every time you got one of these right, it would stay off, and so you could keep on spamming it until you eventually got all of them off. So what this does is just make sure you can't spam buttons randomly to get it to open. And the very last thing is, you may be asking yourself, well, this goes 1, 2, 3, so why are the buttons not 1, 2, 3? And that's because of this little block of wiring over here. This first button here sends the signal out over these wool blocks into this RS NOR latch. So that means that this first button is actually the second button. Now we skip a button. This button does absolutely nothing at all. And then we go to button number 2. Or 3, I mean. This is 2, this is 3. And 3 goes under here and over to the first RS NOR latch. And it has this piece of wool here to ensure that the signal doesn't jump across to this and then set off both of the RS NOR latches, which would be bad. And then over here we have button number 4, which we discussed earlier, resets the circuit to make sure that you can't just spam it randomly to get your frickin' door to open. And then finally we have number 5, which just goes directly into this third RS NOR latch here. So thus you get a 3 combination lock. And a thing about RS NOR latches and combination locks is you can just expand them infinitely out, and have as many buttons as you want for your combination. So that is just one simple use for your good little RS NOR latches that you have just learned. So, I hope you found this redstone tutorial mildly useful. I mean, you know, just a wee bit, That's all I hope, that in some way I have shaped your life today. And dramatic soliloquy of wanting to change the world aside through a redstone video, please like, comment, and subscribe if you got any ounce of entertainment out of this. It means a lot to me. Every little click you do for me helps. Unless you're clicking the dislike button. If you're clicking the dislike button, you know, you can just leave. Just leave. You're not wanted here. Just kidding. But I will see you in my next video. So, until then, this is Shadow Studios 9, Minecraft username Primary Artemis, saying toodles. Is the camera off? The camera's off, right? Right, Steve? See, okay, good. Oh, RS NOR Latch, oh.